Morning Stampers, I'm Meg from LovenStamps and this is Maker Mornings with Meg, and today I have kind of a flower power, Volkswagen-y kind of fun card to share with you guys, and it is going to feature a couple fun techniques. So one is paper piecing, where you stamp on designer series paper and then cut it to combine with a stamped image, so you have some patterned stamped image, I guess, from your paper. Another one is going to be featuring the blending brushes and the new butterflies and flowers layering decorative masks, I think is what they're called. The link's in the video description. And then we're also going to do some fun layering with the good for only a couple more weeks designer series paper, the Sunshine and Rainbows. So you probably saw this if you watched my videos in January. I used a lot of it, and you can tell I like bright colors, lots of pattern. This one is a particularly great paper, and we're gonna do a bunch of layering with it to make the most. And actually today's stamp set is also a celebration item. So if you don't know what that means, leave me a question and I can answer it for you. But if you do know what it means, then you know that you only have a couple weeks left to get your celebration items for free, because celebration ends February 28th and those items are gone. They don't come back later. So, all right, you guys ready to see some fun project today? I'm really excited about this one, and I'm gonna kind of run through how I built the card so that you can kind of see from start to finish where I started with an idea and then tweaked it and kind of put the pieces together here and there. I think sometimes that process is really helpful in our own stamping to kind of learn how to incorporate those things. So, all right, hey Beverly and Carol and Margie and Tanya and Marcy and Kathy and Trish and Elaine and everybody from like all over the country right now. So that's kind of fun. Good morning all. So I'm gonna flip our camera down. Woof. And get you guys at least marginally centered here. I think that's actually not at all centered. And we are going to get started here with our project. So like I said, oops, there was a little sneak peek there. Like I said, we're going to start with a driving by stamp set. So here it is. And I love this little van here with the ideas. And I've used it stamped a couple times and colored a couple times, but I kind of like the idea of not having to color it. So I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do that. So I've got, you can see my papers here. And this one is one of the busier papers on the front, but it's got these tiny little sunshines on the back. And we're gonna go ahead and stamp our van twice with my Memento ink pad, which is floating around over here. And so I kind of looked through the backs of the papers and tried to pick one that I thought would go along with the stamp, but also not be so busy that you obscure some of the details in the pattern. So we're gonna stamp this twice, once here and once here. Now, there are a number of ways that you can do this technique and cut things differently. I'm gonna show you how I did mine, but feel free to adjust it. I'll tell you one of the other ways that I've seen this used too. But when I go ahead and cut, basically I'm gonna layer this on top. So I can take off parts. So I'm gonna cut off the wheels and the little exhaust pipe there. And I'm going to keep the van part and the fenders. So again, you could choose any way, and you could do this as many times as you want if you wanted to have like multiple papers on different parts, but we're gonna keep it kind of simple. And I'm going to grab the, let's see, cut off the light, and then I'm gonna grab the top. Now, it doesn't matter too much whether you keep the line or you cut the line. You just wanna be pretty consistent and think about making sure that your line is gonna show on your final part, because you can see here the places where I cut the line, it's gonna show up here on our white layer, and the places where I didn't cut the line or kept, anyway, you can see what I mean, right? Okay, so we are going to now take this and we're going to layer it on here. Before I do that though, I'm going to look at these windows. I don't really love that they're sunshined also. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my Stampin' Blends markers in Basic, oh, these are Smoky Slate. I think I linked Basic Black in the video description, but it doesn't matter too much. Now be a little cautious when you're coloring with smoky slate or with Stampin' Blends on designer series paper. The color can move a little bit more than you're used to on cardstock. So just be, err on the side of caution and don't color too close to the edge. See how the color moves, and then if you need to, you can catch up to the edge there, but you don't really want it to bleed across the window, so into the window frame. All right, so there we have our windows covered. So now they're kind of our little darkness to match, and I'm gonna take this and just pop some adhesive on the back. Now you can see where my Stampin' Blends bled through. That's what they do. Alcohol markers are meant to saturate the paper. So I like to do it before I attach, just to make sure that I keep the elements or the paper where I want it. I don't want it to end up with weird bleed through the back too. Okay, and now you can see where the little elements that I left are here on our background layer, okay? So now this part is kind of a deal. You want to make sure that you leave line all the way around. So whether it's the line from the basic white layer here, like my tail lights and my exhaust pipe, I'm not going to cut in there, and the wheels, or from the other, from the stamped on the DSP part, you just want to keep the line there. So. All right, now if you are, I talked a lot about fussy cutting the other day on one of our rainbow card episodes, but basically you'll notice that I don't actually move my scissor hand back and forth. I only use my free hand to turn the paper, and that will really help you get fussy cutting kind of where you want it, okay? Now I feel like the wheels are a little bit stark here, so I'm gonna take my darker of my smoky slate markers, and I'm going to just color right up against the wheel well, which kind of conveniently is raised for us. So you can just run our marker right along that edge and give us a wheel shadow, and then maybe a little bit at the bottom of the wheel there too, because that's gonna be, and then we're gonna bring a shadow into our background. You'll see kind of how that goes, okay? And then maybe I'll use the light one to just do a little kind of all over. I'll leave those kind of white walls there, or those, whatever those things are. Okay, all right, so now this is kind of how I started my card. I thought, oh, look at that. I have a really cute little van bus to add to my card, a little sunshine bus. And so now I need something to layer this on. And I wanted to go ahead and use some of my designer series paper, especially this pink layer. And we'll come back to this pink layer like this, but I needed a way to really set aside our school bus. And so I thought, you know what if we put it on kind of a white layer like this? Would be kind of a cute deal, but I feel like it needs a little connection and some fun flower power-ness. So I'm gonna bring in our blending brushes and the flower sheet here from the butterflies and Butterflies and Flowers Decorative Masks. So these are the others. This one I'm really excited to share with you guys. It makes these gorgeous flowers where you layer together. There's a butterfly one, and then there are some other shapes. I'm actually going to show you this one on Friday for our Friday card. All kinds of good stuff coming there. But let's come back to our little van, and I'm going to go ahead and add some color here. So I decided to pick Coastal Cabana and Green Apple Green because they're part of the colors included in this designer paper. When you're not sure about how to pick colors, just look to the designer series paper and come up with ones that go together from the paper. And I got ink on my finger, so there we go. Clean that off. All right, so we're gonna give ourselves a sky and a grass layer. And so this is my greens Stampin' Blend, or blending brush, and you get these 3 to a package. I actually have 2 packages that I use, and then I kind of keep one for each color. So like there's my reds and pinks, there's my purples, there's my yellows. You could totally wash these, just take them to the sink and use little dish soap, Dawn or whatever you use, and go ahead and rinse them out. They don't hold a lot of ink, so you can actually go on to another color really easily. But I just find it easiest to have a couple sets and just sort of mix my colors that way. All right, so I don't want this to move. I am gonna be really careful not to pick up this hand at all as much as possible so that I don't slide our color there. Now, I'm never sure how much ink I picked up with the first swipe. It kind of depends on how much ink is in the pad, whether it's really juicy or light. So I'm gonna test, okay, I'm test on my scratch paper, and you'll notice that I just sort of brush the blending brush across the top of the pad to pick up ink, and then I'm gonna swirl it onto our card here, onto our cardstock. And I'm gonna go kind of near the edges, but I'm not gonna go all the way to the edges, and that is a design choice. I'll show you both examples, but I'm gonna go pretty close. Okay, so we have our green, and then I'm gonna switch and do our Coastal Cabana. And I find that because I can't move my hand here, I use these a little bit like a paring knife. You know, you bring the knife towards your thumb when you're just doing one-handed. So just put your thumb against the ink pad and then you can swipe across there. And this one, I just re-inked, you can see. So it's pretty juicy. So I'm gonna kind of do a light touch here and get my fingers out of the way. Now, if you're wondering about this note here, if you are planning to make multiples of a card or you're working with other stampers, like a class or a club or something like that, you want to be friendly to each other and make sure that you know which side is up on the stencil if you're not going to wash it each time, because you want to make sure that you're not mixing the colors too much. Now this one, I'm going to show you my super easy clean here. You might want to do it each time because you really don't want the color, you don't know where you're going to put it each time, so you don't want the green to mix with the blue too much. So there is our reveal of our fantastic flower power background. There is our little van that's going to sit on our flower power background. And here is the cleaning method. Just take your mat. Remember, it doesn't have a ton of ink on it anyway because most of it's on your cardstock. Set it on your mat here and just wipe. And that is good enough. So here you can see all ink pretty much sucked up by this amazing chamois. I do love my chamois. So that is our background. Let's get these inks out of the way. And you can see really like these don't have a lot of ink left in them. So really I could go on to another color if I wanted. Now we want our van, I mean, it's kind of dreamy, right? It's okay if it just sits there and doesn't have a baseline, but I do like things that have a little baseline, a little horizon line. So we're gonna go ahead and add a little horizon here. I'm just gonna scoot this up and put a little shadow line here with our Stampin' Blends. I'm gonna do a little light and then maybe a little dark over it. I kind of like the dark. And then I'm gonna just do like a quick connect kind of line there with our van, okay? So now our van has a little place to sit on our card and it's not quite so free-floating necessarily. But let's go ahead and pop it on Stampin' Dimensionals because it's just too cute not to. So we're gonna pop it up and whoops, stick it here. I do kind of want it to be horizontal there. Okay, so that we have it stuck on our card. Yay, everybody likes the floral. I know, 70s, yeah, 60s, whatever. I guess this is a 70s vehicle, right? So now what to layer next? I really wanted to bring in some of the rainbow paper from this suite. So I got this one cut here to put underneath, not suite, but the package. But then I felt like, you know what, this is a lot of like, woo, kind of thing. And we need a little bit more like sideways line because it's a vehicle. It should have this feel that it's driving. So I decided to bring in another piece of the paper from that and pop this on kind of here as like a suggestion of a horizon line. So it's kind of suggesting that it's continuing our grass in the background there. And then I wasn't sure what color I wanted to use for a card background. Like, did I want to use Pool Party or did I want to use So Saffron, which you can see is what I went with. I liked the So Saffron because it was right in the same color family as this bumblebee here from our van. So let's go ahead and put some pieces together. I'm gonna pop some adhesive on, and I'm gonna kind of hold this straight and kind of hold this straight to get the things where I want them, okay? So I know they're not attached, but at least it's giving me an idea. And then I'm gonna pop the Stampin' Dimensionals on here to put some dimensionals on to raise this layer up. But at the ends of my cards, I really want it to stick down, so I am going to have that strip stick down, whoops, there we go, with some Seal Plus, and so that's gonna stick it down. All right, now I can't put that on until I stick my rainbow layer, so let's pop this on here. I love the color choices from this designer series paper, by the way. Really cannot go wrong. And then we'll come back and add our van layer here. Now we need a greeting still, so that's coming next, and bling. Don't worry, there's bling on this card. Sue says the masks are so pretty, she needs to check them out. Yep, they are gorgeous, and like I said, I'll show you a great use for them again on Friday. They're a pretty inexpensive way to add a lot of great background or design or all kinds of things to your cards. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to use it also on our envelope. So I'll pull that out here so I don't forget. Okay, so we've got our van, we've got our backgrounds, we need a greeting. The You've Got Style one seemed like the perfect fit for our card here. So now when I tried to pick a specific strip to put this on, I kind of went back and forth about what color to use. Should I use Pool Party? Do I like this one? Do I like another piece of the designer series paper? Do I like this one? I felt like that was a little too busy. Do I like a one that matches our background, our card background? I felt like it got a little bit lost. So I decided to go here with the Pool Party. So I'm gonna go ahead and stamp this. And this is a strip size that tends to accumulate in my scraps, which I love because it is conveniently a great greeting size. Okay, so I'm gonna pop this on here. Oh, actually, okay, I'm gonna show you something. Do you see this little bit of ink right down here at the bottom? There's a little, I caught an edge, and you can see it there right under the word style. There's a little ink on there. I actually wanna show you this because sometimes I've been known to give my stamps a little hair trim. And so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna clean this so I don't get ink all over my fingers. So let me get this. And I find when I'm using the red rubber stamps with my chamois, I just press hard and that gets up into the cracks of them. So I already trimmed one side of this stamp, but I'm gonna trim the other. I do this so rarely, which is why I didn't have examples to show you. But what I'm gonna do with my paper snips, because they're really sharp, is I'm gonna just trim off the rubber from that very edge there. Oops, sorry. Trim off the rubber from that very edge there. My camera's not focusing on this very well. So let's see, can you see that better? You see that piece of rubber that I trimmed off? So now that's not gonna get caught on the edge with my stamp and I will not have that problem. So you wanna be really careful not to undercut the foam because you don't want to cut away the support for the stamp itself. So let's do one more. There we go. And now no pesky edges getting caught. So if you find you have a stamp that just repeatedly catches an edge, even though you're not rocking and you're not over inking, think about that trick. A lot of times we catch edges because we're over inking. We push too hard on our ink pad and we pick up the edge ink. But sometimes it just is an odd cut to the way the stamp was die cut. All right, so that is our greeting. Let us pop this on here. We are going to layer this like so right there at the bottom. So there's our You've Got Style. Clearly needs some bling. So I brought out my Artistry Blooms sequins, which I've used a bunch lately. And I loved this particular coloring with sort of the pink and the orange and the yellow. It just seemed like the perfect addition for our card here. So I'm gonna pop a couple of these on around our You've Got Style kind of spot, and then maybe kind of incorporate our van a little bit more in this sort of spread of focal point. And so then we've got our elements there. All right, so I said I was gonna use our Flower Power again, because of course you want to have your envelope stamped. And I'm gonna go ahead and do, I don't know, maybe we'll just do one. Maybe we'll just do the Coastal Cabana on here. So again, holding and then just doing that sort of paring knife move. I'm just gonna go ahead and do our envelope corner. And I'm gonna go all the way to the edges. And then I'm going to fade it out towards the center here. So I'm not re-inking, I'm just continuing to swirl so that I get more color applied, okay? All right, so there is our fun envelope to match our flower power. So you could do this corner too if you wanted, but I usually leave it clean for the postal. And then of course you could stamp for the inside and you know, do something else. But this technique with the paper piecing and the stamping on is a really fun way to use these little vehicles here. Now, I promised to tell you another choice for this. The van that I stamped, you could do also cut another way. So some people cut straight across here and have the bottom panel and then straight across here and just add that little top panel. I just did the whole thing. I thought it was kind of cute and I didn't have quite as many pieces to stick back together then. But whatever makes you happy, of course. So let's see. Oh, Tanya says, a cute, colorful card, my kind of card. Yeah, I am kind of a fan of color and texture and patterns. So you guys know that. And let's see, Sue says cutting the red rubber off will help her because she gets frustrated. Yes, yeah, for sure. Just trim those stamps just a teeny bit if you need to sometimes and see if that helps you. So our little fun flower power van is a great way to use driving by. Don't forget that this is only available till the end of February. Actually, the paper and the car set. Oh, I promised you one more example. I didn't show you this before, but here is the one that's colored all the way. So see, I did the texturing background all the way to the edges of the paper, whereas this one has this sort of vignette effect where it has white around the edges. So you could go either direction. Either one is certainly a perfectly acceptable way to use your masks and get some great backgrounds. But keep in mind that they work terrifically for envelopes and you get so many great patterns in here. Oops, I just dropped one. Hold on. The vine here is a great one, especially if you're using that Big Cats stamp set to do like You Are Fierce cards or things like that. I could definitely see myself using that one. This one is Sneak Peek we're going to use on Friday for Maker Mornings with Meg. And then there are the shape ones. So the butterflies here and then these florals. So kind of two different floral options for these. Really, really beautiful way to add just nice design to a card. So think about using them as backgrounds, think about using them as foregrounds. So links are in the video description for all of the supplies that I used today. If you are placing an order during the month of February, you're going to get PDF tutorials from me as my thank you gift. And that is this month featuring the daffodils, featuring Daffodil Daydream stamp set bundle. And if you have an order that's at least $50, you get a celebration item for free, like today's stamp set or today's paper, and you will get card kits in the mail from me at the end of the month for 2 projects that are my thank you there for LovenStamps Perks Points and card kits to go. Melissa says, I fussy cut so well. You know what? It's a great thing to do when you're sitting in front of the television. So take your stamping, get your stamping done at a table somewhere, and then when you're just sitting on the couch, just have your scissors and do your fussy cutting. The more you do, the more you get better. But definitely check those tips from that last video I shared. I don't remember the number, but it was the one with the rainbow fussy cutting. And I talked a lot about fussy cutting in that one and making it, even border and so forth. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching with me this morning. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and I will see you on Friday for another Maker Mornings with Meg. Bye, guys. Oh, wait. Brenda says she has to stop watching because she has to buy more products. I know, really. I go to Stampin' Up! Events and I have the same problem. I hear you. But on the plus side, when you watch, I will show you how to use the things that you have so you're actually using them and not just having them accumulate someplace and going, oh, I should really get that stuff out. So I hope that what you see here on Maker Mornings with Meg inspires you to make cards and to send cards and to mail cards and to share what you love with the people around you. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.